So really glad you're here for session 2 of our small group study, The Matter of Church. Thanks for being here. And we're looking, of course, at the matter of church from a big C perspective when our church gathers as a large group. In the small group setting, we're looking at that from a very specific, we can say little c perspective, and that is First Family Church. And so in this session, we're going to look at really our mission, values, and leadership, the things that really make First Family who we are. It's really more about who we are as a church. We looked at our doctrines and beliefs in session 1. Now our mission, values, and leadership. And so we're asking this question, what are some of the things that make First Family First Family? It'd be much like if I were to ask Travis, hey, what makes the Walker family the Walker family, right?
Absolutely.
How would you answer that?
I think I'd point to a few things that we value, things that we take of high importance. So a few that come to mind are eating dinner together. That's very important to our family. Every night, if possible, all 5 of us sit at the dinner table together, no matter how fancy or how simple the meal is, we eat dinner together. I think another thing we value is bedtime. We take time every single night to tuck our kids in, pray over them, because we know how important that is. I think a few other things too is just church attendance. I know I'm a pastor, but I want my kids to think it weird if they didn't go to church on Sunday. That should be odd to them. And lastly, I think one value that we have is of missions. We want our kids to think of the world as an opportunity. All of them should consider going. So when I think of our values, those are probably the things that I think of. Or what makes the Walker family the Walkers is those things are of high value to us. So as you think of First Family Church, Todd, what does First Family Church value, or what makes us distinct?
So even in that question, the answer would be the 3 words mission, values, and leadership. I would say we value mission, we value values, is that all right to say? And we value leadership. And yet we're going to talk also about mission, values, and leadership. In fact, let me just kind of walk you through how to see those words from a church perspective. Mission is how it's stated. And in our case, our mission is really just a matter of a few words. You want to share that with us, Travis?
Develop devoted followers. I hope that's not the first time you've heard that.
That's right, yeah. And in all frankness, we began using those 3 words, 4 or 5 words, depends on when you hear it, just probably in the last 12 months. Prior to that, we used words that were part of our mission statement, but they were really more about our strategy. And so about a year ago, I think we became convicted, our elders did, our staff, our leadership, that maybe we were using the wrong set of words, if I can say it that bluntly. And so we just agreed together, in the next 12 months, let's see if whenever someone says, so what does First Family do? If the first thing off their mouth is, we develop devoted followers. That's what we do. So we just made it our aim that this will be the mantra of First Family. And we didn't make it up. It comes right out of the New Testament.
That's right.
But that is our mission, to develop devoted followers. We hope that you're hearing that and seeing that constantly and everywhere. Talk about values, that's really how our mission is supported. So the mission is how it's stated, the values are how it's supported, whether it's the mission, the church culture, and there are 8 of those values. They're in your packet, they're in front of you. Would you agree too that these are things rarely said,
Yep.
but they're often seen?
That's right.
Would that be
It's very possible that long-term members of First Family Church might not be able to rattle those off the top of their head, but for sure you've seen them. As you look at them in your documents, you'll be like, oh, absolutely. I've seen that to be true, for sure. Because it's exactly what you said, because it supports our mission statement.
kind of supports the culture, the aim. And so I want to have you, in fact, in your small groups right now, take a minute and read the values out loud, one by one, and see if you find that to be true, that you can recognize, oh, that's definitely part of our church, or we no doubt value that. But you'll also find that perhaps you've not ever seen it worded quite like that, or even seen this document. Those are our values. So take some time as a small group, read through those one by one as a group out loud.
Welcome back as we continue session number 2 on Who is First Family Church. And we've been discussing these 3 things: our mission, which is how it is stated, what we're about; The second one is our values, or how our mission is supported. And the third thing we want to talk about is our leadership, and that is how those things are seen. And so as we discuss leadership at First Family Church, we're going to discuss two things. We're going to talk about formal leadership and informal leadership. So as we discuss the formal leadership of First Family Church, we're going to look at elders, deacons, and staff, and look at their roles and what we value about them. And then our informal leadership, we're going to look at small group leaders. So Todd, let's talk about the formal leadership first. Help us see, well, who are elders, what do they do, what are deacons, what do they do, and what are the staff, what is their role?
Sure, and so when it comes to elders, we would say often that elders serve the church by leading, so they oversee the church spiritually, they guide its direction, and they are the final group of men who oversee, direct, and give the yes or no's, if we can say it that way. But they're a great group of men to work with because they don't get into the weeds. They really stay at a level of spiritual shepherding. They meet every Tuesday morning for prayer and Bible study, as well as a little bit of time to talk about oversight issues. But they do primarily shepherd. They oversee all of our small group leaders. They're in touch with them. And so that's the group of men that really shepherd the church. The deacons, they lead the church by serving. And so it's a little play on words there with the elders, but it works well to kind of remember it that way. RJ is our lead deacon. And so he mobilizes the men to take care of the physical, logistical, and financial aspects of the church. And man, they just do a super job. Very godly, talented, gifted men who really handle the physical legwork that frees the elders to focus on the spiritual shepherding of the church. Then the staff really would be like the arms and legs and feet and hands, really to make sure that we're mobilizing as many members as possible for the mission of God. And that is the staff's job. We have a super staff. I think we're split, half are part-time, half are full-time. Just tremendous men and women who have a heart for Jesus and serve in some way vocationally. So those three would make up our leadership. So at church, if you hear us say, our leadership has discussed fill in the blank, or our leadership has decided that fill in the blank, what we're referring to is the elders and deacons and staff have talked at some level with each other, given input, brainstormed, and the decision is fill in the blank. Does that make sense? The other informal leadership really is our small group leaders. And often we'll lean in with them, ask for input. They also are frontline shepherds in many ways because they're caring for the vast majority of needs. In all of these groups, whether informal or formal, we were speaking of values a minute ago. I think one of the core values is that these are the copyable people at First Family. So if you ever want to know, like, well, what is First Family all about? Or what does it look like? Show me First Family up close and personal. Show me a picture of First Family that works. We would say, look to our elders, deacons, staff, or small group leaders. Just watch what they do and copy it.
That's right.
That's how intentional we want to be with copyability. Are all of us there? No, we all fall short in some ways. But our aim is to be able to say to our people what Paul said to that church in Corinth, follow me as I follow Christ. And so we believe copyability is a biblical value, and so we aim for all of our leadership to be copyable so that our church has models, because people follow models,
Right.
not mouthpieces or mandates. Travis, lean in a bit more with copyability in our small group leaders, could you?
Yep. So Todd, I am so grateful for our small group leaders. Even though it's an informal role, it for sure is a level of leadership at First Family Church. The elders that are currently in place at First Family Church need almost 50 couples to help us shepherd the many people that God has given us. And so we remind our small group leaders often that they are setting the pace at which First Family Church members will run. And so they are models for what we expect and what we need at First Family Church. So I tell them the essentials of being a small group leader are celebrating, serving, and giving. Those are things we need every small group leader to set as an expectation for the rest of First Family Church, because we need all of those models involved in setting the pace for our members. This is what it looks like to be an all-in member of First Family Church. As we wrap up session 2, we really want you to just take a few moments in your small group and work through the small group questions that have been provided. And now dissect a little bit about who First Family Church is in our mission, our values, and our leadership.